Hey, I'm Caleb Anderson, and this is the Spirit Farm podcast, a podcast that brings you spiritual conversations about real life and the whole of life, body, mind, heart, and soul, because that's who you are. You are a whole integrated person, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And so we bring you interviews with insightful and inspiring people who are doing good in the world, helping you to draw out more of who you are and what you can contribute and how you might think differently about the life and the mission in front of you. This episode is a little bit different. On this episode, we're going to give you a glimpse into the Spirit Farm membership. We have a membership program at Spirit Farm at thespiritfarm.com, where we bring every week teachings, short, inspirational, spiritual teachings, workout videos, yoga, Pilates, cross training, guided meditations, and then at the end of the month, a live group coaching call, where we explore life coaching in a holistic kind of manner in more depth and with questions and answers. That's the membership program. It's just $20 a month or $200 for the year. And we're going to give you one of those teachings, a sample right now, because it's the Christmas season. And so we wanted to give you a short little glimpse, a teaching as it relates to the Christmas story that is also going to give you insight in what it means to be guided from above, what it means to learn wisdom and discernment, and what it is that God might be inviting you to. Maybe you have some decisions to make. Maybe you're at a crossroads. Maybe you're trying to evaluate an opportunity or a new direction. I think that this will serve you. Let's dive into this short teaching from our Spirit Farm membership now. Hey, Spirit Farmers, welcome back. So glad to be here with you. It's Christmas time. It is Christmas time. Now, perhaps you're watching this in January or June. It's going to be relevant wherever you are in life. But I'm going to use the Christmas story because right now, as we record this, and as most people are watching it for the first time, it is the Christmas season. The Christmas story is a beautiful story to talk about, and we're going to pull out these things, these pieces, these glimpses of wisdom that are going to help you make decisions and discern your direction for your life at any time. So you can even come back to this if it's helpful. We're going to talk about what it means to be guided from above. And in Matthew chapter 2, we dive in to this Christmas story. Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. About that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the newborn king of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we have come to worship him." So these are referred to as wise men or magi, or some people think kings, but at the very least, astronomers. These guys understood the stars. They understood the science of the stars and what they meant. And perhaps they were seeing a comet, perhaps it was something else, but they discerned that there was something for them to do as it related to the star that rose. And so they followed it. These guys had money. These guys had wealth. These guys had servants. It was probably an entourage. We think that there were three, only because, as we'll read later, they brought three gifts. But there might have been more. There were just three key gifts that are mentioned in the text, but there might have been more people. It was probably, as I said, an entourage of people, and they traveled a great distance to find a baby. And when they got to Judea, there was a king in place named King Herod, and King Herod was threatened. And King Herod wanted nothing to do with this baby coming into power. There was a prophecy that said that a child will be born in Bethlehem that will come into power, be the king of the Jews. So Herod plays it coy and he says, yes, you wise people from the distant east, why don't you go and find this child and then tell me where he is, and I too will come and worship him. No. Herod was a bad man. Herod accomplished a lot of things, but he was corrupt, immoral, and hideous in that he killed a lot of babies trying to kill Jesus. And so the wise guys were shrewd. They found their way. They didn't tell Herod. Here's how the next part of the story goes. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. Verse 11, they entered the house and saw the child and his mother, Mary, and they bowed down and worshiped him. They opened up their treasure chests and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Brief sidebar, let's talk about 3 ways to be wise. 3 ways to be wise, since our story is starring not just the baby Jesus, the king, the God of the universe come in human skin, all that, we get that, but also these wise guys. So 3 ways to be wise. The first way to be wise is to learn from your own experience. It's simple. That's how you and I can be wise. That's how we can practice discernment in our life. That's how we can make better decisions, because we all know that there are a lot of people who are really smart, who are really intelligent, really knowledgeable, and make horrible decisions. There are people who just are unwise, right? We know them. So let's talk about 3 ways that you can be wise. The first being to learn from your own experiences. So you walk into a place, something doesn't go well, you learn, I'm not going to walk into that place anymore. You drink too much, you get a hangover, you learn, when I drink that much, I feel good up until a point, and then I don't feel good anymore, and I pay the price. We make decisions, we find the consequences, we learn from our own mistakes. That's the first and easiest way to talk about being wise, learning to make better decisions going forward in our life. So if you have a decision that you need to make, if you're at a fork in the road, if you're trying to discern, is this God talking to me? Is this a door that I should open up or push to kick down or go through this window? Is this a choice that I should, pursue? Ask yourself, in light of my past experiences, what's the wise thing to do? In light of my past experiences, what's the wise thing to do? That's the starting point. The second way to be wise is to learn from the experiences of others. See, that's an even deeper level of wisdom, because then you don't even need to make the mistakes in order to learn. You can learn from someone else's mistakes, someone else's successes, someone else's failures. They've gone down the path in front of you, and you can learn from them. So people that say, well, I just need to make all the mistakes and figure it out. That's just how I'm living my life. I'll learn from my mistakes. Okay. I mean, like we said, that is one way to be wise, but a better, deeper way to be wise, perhaps even more wise, is to learn from the experience of others. So maybe you have a mentor. Maybe you hire a coach. Maybe you read books, biographies, learn from experts, do your research, talk to people, seek therapy. You know what I mean? Have other people that are a part of your life that you can run ideas off of, a personal board of directors, perhaps, some go-to people that you think make wise choices. And then you can learn also from their experiences. So you don't have to have all the experiences yourself. Learn from others. So if you find yourself at a crossroads, if you need to make a decision, if there's a choice in front of you, if there's something you're trying to discern or figure out, ask yourself first, in light of my past experiences, what's the wise thing to do? Then second, in light of relevant examples, what's the wise thing to do? In light of my past experiences, but in light of relevant present examples, what's the wise thing to do? So we're learning from the past. We're looking for examples in the present as we're moving toward the future. Then the third thing that we're going to look at in terms of how to be wise is to look for guidance from above. So this is even going beyond my past experiences, my present examples that I can find, and even kind of popping up above and looking from a higher point of view and saying, God, are you trying to show me something? God, are you giving me some signs? God, am I supposed to follow a star here? Are you taking me in a direction? Should I be looking for something? Is that a sign? Is this a sign? Is this where we are going? And learning to pay attention to those things. So then maybe you're asking, well, how do I know if it's a God thing? How do I know if this is God's voice and not just something bad that I ate? How do I know if that's a star that I'm supposed to follow and not just a shiny distraction? How will I know? Well, there's a few things that are common, and we see them in this story of the wise guys following the star, finding Jesus. You will know that there's a good chance that it's a God thing if it requires some humility. If it requires some humility. These are very wealthy people that traveled a long distance to honor a baby. Perhaps at this time, Jesus was a year and a half, 2 years old, because it took him a while to get there. They didn't go to the manger scene. They found him in a house later on. Still, long journey to honor a baby. There's humility involved. God might be showing you something, guiding you from above, leading you to a new place, if there's humility involved in the decision. If God's inviting you to take the humble approach, if God's inviting you to elevate someone else or even prioritize God above your comforts, your desires, the way that you've been approaching things, the way that you've been living. So humility might be involved. Then consider the story, these wise guys. Another indicator that it might be a God thing is if you have to do the opposite of what the power brokers want you to do. It might be a God thing if you're invited to do the opposite of what the people in power want you to do. So King Herod, they could smell the corruption. They could smell the jealousy. They could feel and sense his power, that he had the authority to do terrible things, and he did terrible things. And they went the other way. They did not report back to him. They did not give him the information that he wanted. They did not come back that way to tell him where Jesus was. They went the other direction. And oftentimes I find, and you see throughout the scriptures, and especially in this Christmas story, that God is inviting us to do the exact opposite of what would give us power and prestige, what would honor the power brokers, what would help keep people comfortable in their power and security and domination over other people. God's usually about the exact opposite. You might be following a star from God. You might be being invited by God on a new path, a new journey, a new decision, if it flies in the face of conventional wisdom from the power brokers, if it flies in the face of their control tactics, if it's the opposite of what those in power and authority with people under their thumb want you to do. It's common in the story of God that we read in the scriptures. And then the third way that you might know that this is something that God has for you, that this is God speaking to you, God leading you, is if it costs you something. So these wise guys, they show up and they present the infant Jesus with gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Costly gifts. Not to mention the travel, not to mention the months away from home and their workplaces and their families. Costly. It might be a God thing. If it requires some humility, if it is contrary to what the power brokers are prioritizing, and if it costs you something. If you could use some guidance, if there's a decision to make, if you're at a fork in the road, look to past experience. In light of my past experience, what's the wise thing to do? In light of present examples, what's the wise thing to do? In other words, in light of other people that I can learn from, other people's journeys, that I can get wisdom by looking at the experience of others. In light of present examples, what's the wise thing to do? And then finally, in light of the passion within me, in light of the passion within me, what is making me come alive? When I see that star in the sky, there was something for those wise guys, there was something that came alive in them. There was something that sparked for them. They had past, they had experience, they had the studies, but there was something for them, astronomy, for them, the study of the stars was their passion, their significance, that's what they knew. That's what got them up in the morning, and they recognized this. And they were like, that, I just know deep inside me, there's just something I need to do. And they followed that star. What's your star? Follow your star. God will use anything. God will use astronomy. God will use the sciences. God will use art, sports, God will use a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a mentor, a neighbor. God will use an animal, a kid, circumstances, painful circumstances, difficult circumstances to get our attention, to stir something within us and call us in that direction. Past experiences, present examples, and the passion within. That is a glimpse of the Christmas story and how those wise guys, they did something that required humility. They did something that went against the power brokers of the time, and they did something that cost them something to be those wise guys. But they followed their star on a direction that changed their lives forever, that gave us a glimpse into the greater story of God. I hope that helps you as you think about your life right now, where you're at, decisions that need to be made, opportunities in front of you. Though you'll look at past experiences for wisdom, you'll find present examples, role models, coaches for wisdom, and that you'll listen and you'll look and you'll sense, you'll feel that passion within. Maybe that's God leading you in the direction of your future. Now, we're going to throw up some questions on the screen to help you have a good conversation, maybe just with yourself, or maybe with a significant other, a spouse, a family member, or in a group context. Hope this serves you. Hey, thanks for joining us for this Spirit Farm podcast and a glimpse into the Spirit Farm membership and the short teaching, guidance from above, and how to be wise. I hope that it served you. I hope that it sparked something in you, that you remember, that it reminds you to look back at your past experiences, to consider the present examples that you can learn from, and what's the passion within you that God might be leading you toward. Wisdom. It's better than knowledge. Pursue wisdom and invite God to show you that star, to show you that signal, to show you where God wants you to go from here. He'll show up. He'll give you the insights. And we want to be a part of that journey with you. Join us at thespiritfarm.com. We want to join you on your spiritual whole life journey with teachings, workout videos, guided meditations, live group coaching calls. We would love to have you a part of our ever-growing community. Join us at thespiritfarm.com. Find membership and join today.